Hello again, welcome back. We're going to continue discussing CSS, custom properties, and Sass. In the previous example, we created a button and we used some custom properties to set the colors. So in this video, I would like to discuss where those colors came from and how we can create a palette of colors that works with our CSS library or CSS framework that we're creating, okay? So to get started, what I'd like to do is I'd like to take a look at some existing CSS frameworks and ask where did their colors come from, right? So here I am at the Bootstrap page and I'm going to go to the docs section and I'm going to search up colors, okay? And if I pull up the colors here, the colors section, you'll see that they give me theme colors. And then they show me the primary, secondary, success, danger, warning, info, light, and dark. Okay, so they have about 8 colors here, right? And you'll notice that they're actually giving me the Sass code for those colors. So this is showing me a dictionary written in Sass where the key name is primary and then $primary is the color, right? So they have a variable and the color is actually stored here, okay? And if I look down here, they're going to say all colors because the framework has more than just these 8 colors in it. It has tints and shades for each of those colors. So a tint is the color adding white to it. So here, if this was the primary color, then these would be tints, right? Because the primary color is here at 500. And then as we add white to the color and it gets lighter, we're creating a tint. And then here from 600 down is the same color, but we add a little bit of black, right? And that creates a shade. So these are the shades. And these are the tints up here. And the same goes with the colors in all the columns, right? We can see there's a red, it's got tints and shades. We got greens and yellows and kind of a teal and a cyan and a gray, right? So here's a grayscale. So this is kind of the middle color right here is the 500. And then, we have the shades and the tints, right? So let's take a look at material design, right? So, and before we leave here, just realize that behind the scenes, Bootstrap is using Sass to compile to their regular style sheet that they distribute, right? And instead of having someone generate each of these colors, what they've done is they've generated them programmatically, starting from the base color, right? And then they've created a variable name for each one, and that makes it easy to pull up the colors where they're needed, right? Because they can just use the variable name. And if they need to adjust it, they can go to one location, adjust the color there, and then it changes globally, right? So you want to be able to implement that stuff in your code, right? And they're also, just for a fun note here, the value here, like when it shows white against the blue and then the black against the blue, and the same thing, white and black against the purple here. What they're doing is they're telling us the contrast value, right? So the contrast is really important to make the colors readable, right? So we need to have contrast or the colors will not be legible, okay? So they're showing us what the contrast value is here. And you'll notice that in general, the contrast value is like 4.5 or better, right? This black against the purple doesn't work. It's 2.3. The black here against the purple, 3.2. But the white on the purple or the blue is looking pretty good. Down here, like orange doesn't have a lot of contrast against the white. Actually, it does read better than it does up here, but whatever. Even though the contrast value seems to be like a lower number. But this is the contrast here. So like as a developer or a designer, we always want to keep the contrast high for accessibility. And so you can look at these numbers and kind of get an idea of where the contrast came from, right? Let's look at the material design. So I'm going to go to material and I'm going to search for color, right? And they give me color HTML, and then look, they have Sass also. So let's look at the color HTML first. So I'm going to scroll down here, and again, they have a color palette. So they have a red color here, and then they're showing tints of the red going up and shades of the red going down, right? And then I'm not quite sure. I think they have like some other alternate colors down here. These look like they have more saturation, like they've added more color to the color, if that makes any sense, right? So these are like some alternates, but I think these are the tints and shades up here, right? And the same thing down here with the rest of the colors, right? So these are their colors, right? Let's take a look at their SAS page. Oh, I guess this is the SAS page here. I guess it's on the same page, right? So they have some variables, and they import these from whatever library they're using, or whatever separate file that contains all the colors, and we'll talk about that, right? So how would you implement this, right? Okay, let's give it a try together. So I'm going to hide this for a moment. Let me put this away, right? And I have an example file here. I'm going to go to this styles.scss. So this is my code here. And what I've done is I've created a dictionary, and I basically just took the lead from Bootstrap, and I kind of named my colors in the same way they did. So I have gray and primary and info and success, danger, call out, secondary, other, and alternate. I think I have this alternate color in there as like they don't have that one. I don't think they have these two, but anyway, this is very similar to their list, right? And I use some similar colors: blue, green, teal. You know, I left the cyan out. You know, I kind of made some changes to make myself happy, right? So these are my colors, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some code here to generate all the tints and shades. Okay, so I'm going to automate the process, right? But what I'm going to do different is I'm going to make CSS custom property variables that contain each of the colors. Okay, so my colors are all going to be, I'm going to generate them with SAS, but they're all going to be CSS custom property variables, so that we can do things like this, where we say var color whatever, and you can put the name of a color here, and then it'll take on that color name, right? And then I can use those colors in other places too, or I could use them in my code here, right? So that's my approach, right? So what does this look like? Like if I do this for loop here, I actually have like a 2 or 3 for loops. So like I got a for loop here to go over all the colors, and then I have a loop here to generate a lighter tint for each color, and then I have another loop down here to generate a shade of each color, right? So the output of this is in the CSS file, and it looks like this. So you can see that it says tints, and then these are all the tints of the original gray color, and so these all get lighter. And then I have the shades over here, and these are all shades of that original gray color, and these all get darker, right? And then here's tints for the blues and the blue color, and then here's the shades for the blue, okay? And then here's the tints for the kind of teal, right? And there's the teal, and then here's the shades, right? And the same thing for the green, right? There's the shades for the green, right? So my code is generating a couple things, right? It's generating the variable name here and the value for the color on this side, okay? And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to interpolate the name. So to interpolate the name, we got to use this hashtag and the curly brackets. And basically, it's going to take the value of this variable and combine it with this thing. So in other languages, we would have put this in a string. In SAS, we're not going to use the string, but you could think of this as a string. So my string is going to be dash dash color dash the value of this variable, right? So it's going to be the name of the color, like blue or gray or green, right? Dash, and then it's going to say lighter, and then it's going to have a dash, and then it's going to say the number, like lighter 1, 2, 3, 4. On the Bootstrap and the materialized site, they use like 100, 200, 300, right? I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So when I look at my numbers here, you can see it says 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is lighter 1, lighter 2, lighter 3, and lighter 4, okay? And then on this side, I'm going to generate the color. Now, to generate the color, I'm going to use the lighten function, right? So lighten is a function that's built into Sass. So it's a Sass function where you supply a color and then you give it a percentage, and that percentage is how much lighter you want to make that color, right? So I chose the number 12 and I said, let's make it 12% lighter times the I. So the first one's going to be 12%, the second one's going to be 24% lighter, and the third one's going to be 36% lighter, okay? And then I printed the regular color, so I just put the color and the name, right? So the key is going to be the name up here, right? That's going to be key. And then the value is going to be the value of the original color, okay? So I just said color, interpolated the key to get the name, and then I did the value, okay? And then I did the same for the shades. For the shades, though, instead of using the lighten function, I used the darken function. So darken does the same thing. It's a built-in function in Sass. You give it a color, and then you give it a percentage, and then it darkens that color by this percentage. I found that if I use the 12% here, the colors got too dark too fast. So maybe my formula here needs a little bit of tweaking, but so I lowered the number here to 10%, and that seemed to be a better range, right? So anyway, let me do this. Let me stop the video here, and if you want to try this on your own, go for it, right? Give it a try, right? So you'll make a dictionary of colors, and then define the colors here in the loop. And if you feel you're not quite ready for that, that's okay too. And I'll actually go over the solution with you in the next video, because this video is getting pretty long, so I want to keep them to a manageable size. So we'll do this in the third video, okay? And then I can go over it together. And if you want to get started on it right now on your own, do as much as you can, and then come back to the video and you can check your work and compare it to my solution, okay? And again, as always, thanks for watching.